ladies and gentlemen, and everybody online. Thank you for being here. Let your friends know we're here. Come on out and hang out. Hopefully you'll bring your instruments and get up and have a chance to play with us a little bit later on. My name's Jason. I'm from the Office of Global Initiatives here at Berklee. And this afternoon, my colleague Jeff Perry, who's the Associate Director of Summer Programs, and I have the privilege of bringing a friend, an amazing composer and bassist and producer here to Berklee to hang out with us for a couple of days, to talk about what we all love doing, which is just playing music and being creative and being spontaneous. And this is a great place to do it. It's a safe place to do it. And it's great to just get your friends together and, you know, break out your music, see what happens. So Kurt is somebody that I've had the opportunity to have lots of really interesting conversations with about what's going on in the world of music and what we all do as players and writers. And he's got some thoughts on that today, and I think he's going to want to hear from you as well. So there's going to be lots of audience participation involved. And please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Kurt Morgan.
Well, thank you for that, Jason. Thank you to Berklee for having me. It's really an honor for me. When I went to high school, I grew up not too far from here, Westerly, Rhode Island. So, the Berklee College of Music Jazz competition, big band competition, was something that my high school worked for hard every year for the experience. We would show up early and to school and practice for months leading up to it. So it's a real honor for me to be on the stage to talk to all of you and to be in this position to do it. So thanks for having me. Thank you all for coming. One of the things that I'm most interested in as a musician, for those of you that don't know, I'm a bass player. It's my main profession. It's how I make a living, is as a bass player. And my gig now is with Dweezil Zappa. And I've been with him for 6 years now. And for me, this is a dream come true. As a high school student, when I first discovered Zappa's music, it really did change a lot of things for me. So when I look back on my musical career and I think about where I'm at now on this stage, it's a bit overwhelming. It feels like, for me, to be playing my hero's music is a dream come true. And I never, although I wished it would happen, I guess I never thought it really would, but here I am. And I'm here to tell you that if you have those feelings of maybe one day I could do it, I'm telling you right now that you can. And my particular experience, to me, feels a bit on a side road. I went to college at the University of New Hampshire and studied music theory and composition. That was my. I wanted to learn how music worked, and while I love to play, the real dream for me was to be able to realize myself as a composer, to find my unique voice, whatever that was. Whether you enjoy Frank Zappa's music or not is irrelevant right now, because to me, he represents a very unique perspective on music. Let's just put it that way. So I admired his uniqueness and wanted to find my own. And it was hard, really hard. So maybe in the back of my mind, I imagined that, what are you looking for? It's already there. You have a personality. It's just waiting for you. It wants to come out. You don't have to look anywhere for it. It's with you every day. But even though you may think that, to actually believe it and put it into action, it can be a real challenge. So one of my goals today is to maybe share with you some of the things that have worked for me, just to give you some ideas. I really would like to encourage those of you that are interested in composing your own music, and specifically to find your unique place in that, and to be proud of it. Then I hope to take some of that anxiety away, or at least give you a few suggestions of areas that you might be able to go and try. Now, everything that I tell you today is just an opinion and what works for me. So really, if some of this doesn't make sense, you just leave it, and hopefully there's one little nugget in here that works for you. So, just out of curiosity, out of the audience here, how many of you are interested in composing your own music? Fantastic. Now, how many of you have tried and struggled with maybe knowing where to go next? Maybe specifically, how many of you have a lot of little pieces that you would like to make bigger? By a show of hands, does anyone understand this experience? Yes, hello, it's so common. This sort of feeling. Now, I'm 41 now, and I went to school expecting to come out of it seasoned, like a seasoned composer. It took much longer for me to allow myself. I think that's a lot of it, is allowing yourself to take chances and fail and learn from those things. It can be a really scary thing, but it doesn't need to be. Because chances are the people that you admire, the artists and musicians that you admire are intimately familiar with this feeling, and they've found their own solutions to these issues. So what I'd like to do today is present to you, like the piece that you heard us rehearsing, is something that I wrote very quickly for this presentation. And after we play it, I'd like you to listen to the whole thing and make some mental notes about the way it feels to you, and maybe try to take a guess at how I might have put this together. And then after we're done playing, I'll tell you some of these things. And we'll see how close you all are. I'm fascinated by it because I think there's no wrong answer to this. I'm asking you, how does it make you feel? So as long as you're telling me how you feel, there's no debate about this. There's no wrong answer for you, including it made me uncomfortable, I didn't like it, all of those things. That's okay, because there's, as you'll hear and have probably heard, it's intentionally meant to rub a little bit. So, before I introduce our band and bring them out to play this, I just would like to make a dedication, if I might. There are many people in my career that have helped me, and really, there's two I'd like to mention today. The first is Gail Zappa. I'd like to thank her. This presentation is partly dedicated to her. And for those that are unfamiliar with me, before I played in Dweezil's band, I was the librarian for Frank Zappa's written manuscripts. So all of his orchestra music, his wife Gail hired me and trusted me to do that. And that's why I'd like to thank her now, because she took a chance on me. She sort of listened and took a chance. And that meant the world to me, to have someone to believe in me like that. And so it means a lot for me to be up here to pass some of that to you. So thank you, Gail. I'm here because of you. And the second is Clark Terry. I'm not sure if, does anyone who knows Clark Terry, is familiar with Clark Terry here? Okay, great. For those that don't know, Clark Terry was a fantastic jazz trumpet player and music educator. And he played with one of the few, possibly one of the only, to play with both Count Basie and Duke Ellington. So he comes from this tradition of jazz, and one of his passions was to pass that information along to young people. And my experience with Clark changed my life forever. When people talk of masters, I think often, you know, we use the word awesome all the time. It's almost overused if you think about it. Because what if you have to reserve another word for something better than awesome, you know? Leave some space for something even greater than what awesome is, and that's master is one of these words for me. Clark embodied that, and the way that he showed that to me was I performed with him once with my college jazz band. I went to the University of New Hampshire, and I hadn't met him before, and he sat in with our big band, and we had. The song was Meet the Flintstones, and it was at a tempo that I could barely keep up with. It was the fastest rhythm changes I think I've ever had someone throw at me, and I was on upright, and I'm much more comfortable on an electric guitar, so I was just nervous as could be. And he brought his drummer, Sylvia Cuenca, with him. So she was just on me, like ding, 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 you know, and I'm sweating bullets, like just trying to keep up. And we're in the middle of Clark's solo, and we get to the bridge, and he turns to Sylvia, the drummer, and he cuts her out. He's just, stop playing. So it's me and Clark, and I'm just holding on for dear life. It really, I'm 18, and I just remember, just swing, man, just swing, you know? Digging in, playing all the hippest stuff I could come up with. And it just blew by. It's like over in a second, and I barely remember it. The band comes back in, we finish the song, great. I'm just happy that I didn't cause a train wreck. And at the end of the show, Clark was like, hey man, you know, nice job. And it was very casual. I was just really, I thought nothing of it. I was really just happy that I didn't cause a pileup. Now, flash forward 3 months after that concert, maybe more. It's the summertime, and I'm at home, and my phone rings, and my father picks it up, and he hands it to me. He's like, there's a guy named Clark Terry on the phone for you. And I was just like, oh, what are you talking about? He didn't know who he was. I had no idea. So I pick up the phone, and I say, hello. It's like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Morgan? Hi, Clark. What can I do for you? He's like, how'd you like to play on a cruise with me and Oscar Peterson, Lou Donaldson? And he rattles off some of the biggest names in jazz. And I was a fan of jazz, but I didn't really think that I could hang with those guys. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. Now, it wasn't just that he asked me to do it. It was the fact that he remembered me, that he heard something that I didn't hear at the time. I didn't acknowledge, I didn't even know that I was capable of. Like I said, I was really just happy it didn't go to pieces. So this is what it means to me. He showed me what it meant to be a master, because I realized that I couldn't do that. I couldn't remember somebody's name. He remembered what I played, he remembered my name, and he remembered that, oh, I got to come back to this kid. Now that was really humbling. I still have a way to go with that. But that's what I'm getting at here. So thank you, Clark. This is for you too. He was a fantastic educator, and he made it fun. He was so, the joy that came out of this man's horn and everything he said, the only other person that I could think of in that realm would be Louis Armstrong. Just this joy, he just radiated joy. The jazz had such a weight to it with a lot of other players that I loved. It was so serious, a lot of it. Here comes Clark. existing side by side, all of this, Mingus, Coltrane, just doing his thing, happy as can be. When you hear him scat, it's one of the funniest things in the world. He's known, they called him Mumbles. You know, Mumbles was one of his nicknames. And it's the funniest jazz scat you've ever heard. It's like, but it's joy. So it's a huge lesson. Those two things that Clark taught me: listen and have fun. Be sensitive, you know. He was a great person and an amazing musician. So thanks, Clark. Okay.